All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's time, so let me get started. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. Our third NTUgAIP Sci-Tech Talk Series, which is that platform where the academia and industry come together to explore the cutting-edge intersections of science, technology, and the application to the insurance industry. And just quick introduction, this is Shinichi Kami, Associate Professor at Nanyang Technological University, and also Co-Director of Insurance Risk and Finance Research Center at NTU. And just want to highlight that this is the part of the collaboration between the NTU and the GAIP Global Asia Insurance Partnership in professional education initiatives, where we offer programs focusing on the current necessary skill set. But this talk series is a little bit, have a different direction because we are more forward-looking and then reflect that our commitment to foster that knowledge exchange and also that the innovation, especially that by taking advantage of the collaboration between the GIP and the NTU, which is very strong focus in technology and science. And before introducing today's speaker, let me just share a bit of logistics first. So after the talk by Professor Guan, our colleague, Professor Joey Zhou, will moderate the Q&A session, and all are scheduled to end at 5 p.m. And we will use that Q&A function you can find in Zoom, and I think the bottom part. And so please place any questions, comments, and then also potential topics in the future as well. Also, to organize that talk on time, that your microphone will be muted all the time. And thank you for your understanding. Okay. And let me introduce today's speaker. We are very honored to welcome Professor Cuntai Guan, President's Chair in the Computer Science and Engineering and a Deputy Dean of the College of Computing and Data Science, NTU. And his research interests include brain-computer interfaces, machine learning, AI, the applications in rehabilitations and mental health. And he's elected fellow of IEEE and AIMBE, and then the U.S. National Academy of Inventors and Singapore Academy of Engineering. So today's talk, Professor Guan will cover recent brain-computer interface BCI advancement, focusing on the non-invasive techniques, clinical research project in the medical fields such as rehabilitations, cognitive enhancement, and brain health. This promises to be the insightful session that bridges the industry, healthcare innovation. Certainly, that we have a strong implication to the insurance industry, and like the long-term care insurance. So we are very excited to learn some new techniques. So please join me to welcome Professor Cuntai Guan. Over to you.
Hey, thank you very much, Shinichi, for the introduction. Yeah, so this is a topic which is far away from most of us in the audience. I try to just give you an overview of some of the advancement in brain-computer interface, some of the high-profile companies you have heard, and I will skip some of the technical content, although I have the slides. I don't think that's the focus for today. And feel free to have questions later. We can have a discussion. I also hope to hear your comments and your view for the future of brain-computer interface. Okay, so my introduction today, this is the simple outline. I will try to give a definition, a commonly agreeable definition of brain-computer interface, although there are different opinions on this. And I will also give an overview on some of the technology. So there are two types of brain-computer interfaces. Invasive means the whoever received the technology has to undergo a surgical procedure to put electrodes or some devices inside, below the skull, basically. And there's another type is non-invasive. So no surgical procedure is needed. So you can see two types of technologies that I will show you some examples. Each of them has their use cases. So they are complementary. They are not competing to each other, but the use cases will be largely different. So just give you a kind of a overview of what's going on in this field. So by definition, brain-computer interface is a system. Okay. So you see the sequence. So it's a system that measures the brain activity. Okay. So out of the brain, right? So you measure that, then you convert this measurement into some functionally useful output. Okay. So the purpose use brain-computer interface. This is a kind of current practice and also research people are conducting, which is to replace, restore, enhance, supplement, or improve the natural outcomes of the brain because of injuries, basically, because of disorders, injuries. So some of the brain function was compromised. So we use a BCI to replace the usual brain function or try to restore. Those are the definition, thereby changing the ongoing interaction between the brain and the external device. So basically, you measure that, you translate into some information which can be used for human to control or restore their function. And so this actually go through the interaction with the environment. Environment could be a device. Okay, later I'll show you more examples. It can additionally, so that's another part. A lot of people has, so this is a different opinion will come in. So it may add may additionally modify brain activity using targeted delivery of a stimuli into the brain. So this is another way. So basically, you can consider brain-computer interface a two-way communication from brain to external device, from external device to the brain. Okay, but this definition is given by International BCI Society. It's an international body. I'm a part of the board member. So, but if you read literatures or news, there are different opinions, but doesn't matter. So my suggestion is we treat anything from and into the brain as part of the brain-computer interface. Many of you may have heard of a technology called deep brain stimulation, which is a kind of a commonly deployed technology for Parkinson's. For those patients who have not responded well to the medications or other treatment. So deep brain stimulation, or DBS, is a kind of recommended devices. However, today, the statistics shows only 4% of Parkinson's patients, in fact, use the DBS as a means to control the tremor, okay, movement, or sometimes they cannot move. They call freeze of the case. But there's some reasons. Maybe later we have a little bit discussion on that. Okay, now, so this is very kind of abstract, a very complex definition. Let me show you what actually the devices looks like. So just now we said brain-computer interface actually starting from we call behavior. So whether you want to recover motor, so means people have stroke, okay, they cannot control their limbs very well, right? Or some people, they are disabled because of the spinal cord injury and so on. So cannot control external device, cannot control their limbs. So they have to rely on somebody else to help them. Or they cannot speak in the past. Or they have cognitive issues, ADHD, cognition, or anxiety. Or even fundamentally, how do our brain respond to sensing, like olfactory and the smell. So this we call behavior. So each behavior, motor or cognition or speech, actually has a targeted or relevant brain areas. one of the general principle is contralateral control. Our left side of brain control right side of our limbs. So the right hand controlled by left brain, left hand controlled by the right brain. This also works for eyes. Eyes, when the lights come to the eye, also come to the opposite side of the brain at the back. This is called occipital. So each of these, okay, has a specific brain areas which correspondent to the function. So you can imagine if that part of brain got damaged or some deficit, so that function will be affected. For instance, the speech is at the left, not mostly at the left speech area. So if because of stroke, people cannot use this part to pronounce, so that become a disability for speech. So with all these correspondence, then we have our means to measure, okay, to measure the activity. So there are two types of, just now we mentioned, invasive. Typically, there are three types of invasive approach to record information from the brain. So if you look at the bottom, this is the most invasive. That means you have to put an electrode, single electrode. This is an array. Typically consists of 10 by 10, 100. You put the electrode into the brain tissue. You have to penetrate brain tissue to kind of cause certain damage to the tissue. Then you contact the electrode with the neurons. So ideally, each electrode will record the activity from a single neuron. So sometimes we call this single neuron recording, or we call it intracranial electrical array recording. So yeah, so the second type of invasiveness is, you can see this is called ECOG. Basically, it's put an electrode on top of the tissue of the brain, but below the skull. I still have to open the skull, but do not touch the tissue. This one will go into the brain tissue. Some damage will cause. Later I will show examples of each of them, especially the example for the last one, the invasive brain-computer interface, is from Elon Musk Neuralink. And also another part in the middle you can see, which is actually a kind of a stand, more like our stand, for the heart. They put in the brain, so they can also record signal inside the brain vessels, the blood vessels. So these are the invasive approach. And also there are non-invasive approach, fMRI, functional magnetic resonance image, which normally we use this for scanning brain. And also we can use a magnetic field called MEG, or optical field. This is near infrared kind of optical signal shine to the brain to see activity. And the most common one is this EEG. This one we call brainwave electrical activity. Record electrical activity to use that to build brain-computer interface. Later today, for non-invasive BCI, more than 90% of the devices are based on this. The rest are only for research purpose or for monitoring purpose. Okay, so once the brain activity is recorded through whatever approach from here, then the next part is decoding. So I just list the traditional approach until now, the AI-based. Many of us have been familiar with large language model, because that one called foundation model for language, right? For even they have a multi-model for language plus images. So here for brain, we also can build a foundation model for the brain, basically to decode the brain activity, use more advanced AI approach, deep learning. So that's mostly our work is focused on this. And after we decode, let's say we understand the person is performing certain motor task, or we understand the person is trying to speak, but he cannot speak, so the person will imagine to speak. So this signal will be embedded in the brain signal. So now, once we decode this, we use various devices as a feedback. Okay, you can show the results, the text, for instance, that people want to speak. That's a text. Also can convert into speech, the audio, control a wheelchair, control a robotic exoskeleton, and also trigger the stimulation, either it's electrical or magnetic, and so on. So you can see this arrow, the feedback actually has two arrows. One is to be shown to the subjects. So the user will know what's going on when they want to control. There's the feedback to tell them. Well, this is important for any interface. You need to see what is the outcome, what's the results if I want to do something, right? At the same time, some of the stimulation will go to the brain directly. So this is called two-way communication. So TBS can be considered as part of this path. So they just send electrical signal to the brain to stop tremor. Or there are few applications use this stimulation. Parkinson's is one. Now people are also using brain stimulation to treat depression, severe depression, which are cannot be treated well using usual medication and so on. And another part is the epilepsy. So use electrical signal to stop the abnormal firing of the brain, so which cause epileptic seizure, right? So these are the typical applications. Now I give you a few examples. Some are well known for us. So Elon Musk has set up this company called Neuralink, except Tesla car, X-Space, the satellite. He also built this brain computer interface company. So he showed a few things. I just briefly mentioned to you. 2020, he showed the first prototype. So you can see they put electrode into the pig's brain. So from that, they can decode the joint of each of the legs, or 4 legs. So they put use computer vision. So there are 2 lines you can hear. The solid line is the actual movement, actual angle. The light one is decoded from brains. They are very close. Okay. Later you can see we can also decode such movement very well using non-invasive approach. Okay. So that's the first. And later 2021, they show a monkey can play a ping pong game. This actually has been done many years, more than 10 years ago by researchers, but it's not a big deal. And last year, there are a few subjects actually approved to take the trial, so they can play the game. So what is the contribution or advancement from Elon Musk company? I put this way, all these demonstration do not come up with any new scientific findings. Those techniques actually been there over last decade, many demonstrations and so on. However, Elon Musk company has made a significant, remarkable engineering progress. This is important because from science, from research in the universities and the labs, people have done this, many published a lot of papers and show demos. But how can we translate this into large scale mass deployment into the clinical setting and so on? Companies has tried. The university also tried. A few companies they set up, but eventually no one make it successful because this one really need a lot of investment. Some need sufficient long time to make the technology stable. So there are 2 things the Elon Musk company has made successful technology very successful. First of all, they have this soft electrode. Okay, just now in the first actually we show electrode, right, which is more like this. So you have a rigid electrode. This is a tissue, surface of the tissue. After open up the skull, you put the electrode on the surface. Then the electrode, which is normally 10 nanometers, very short, but still they penetrate into the tissue. So each of the electrode supposed to record the activity, the firing, we call firing of the neurons. So 3 electrodes supposed to record activities from 3 neurons, right? So that's why typically people also look at how many electrodes you can implant into the brain so that you can record a population of the brain. But Elon Musk company solved one issue. You can see from here. If the electrode is rigid, okay, but our brain is like a gel, right? When we move, actually the brain actually is moving a little bit. So because this is so small, the scale is so small, a slight movement of the brain tissue will displace the position between the electrode and the neurons. So oftentimes when this electrode recording activity from one neuron today, but tomorrow the same electrode will record neural activity from another neuron. This may cause issues when you build a model today for the person to speak or control. This model have to fine-tune, have to change tomorrow in order for the patient to continue to use. Still remain a problem. However, because of the development of the electrodes, so today now they have this very soft electrode. So this kind of displacement become less an issue. Then with AI, with deep learning, with algorithms, actually this problem is more or less can be solved. So that's why the subject they can play the game every day without doing so-called retrain or calibration. In the past, every day they want to use the device, they have to practice a little bit, get the data, refine the model. Very troublesome. That's important. At the same time, another important thing is they have this device. It's more like a sewing machine. You can see this. There's a needle here. This is supposed to be the tissue of the subject. So this needle has a optical imaging. One of the issues is when we insert electrode into the brain, because the brain vessel, there are small blood vessels somewhere, right? Blood vessel. So the electrode may destroy the blood vessel to cause bleeding, minute bleeding. That bleeding will cause a scar surrounding the electrode. So the one challenge in the past, before they have this soft electrode, before they have this machine, so when doctors insert electrode, they don't know whether after 2 days, after two months, this electrode can still receive signal, because if it's breaking the blood vessel, then the scar will surround the electrode. No more signal can be received. So this kind of by chance, trial and error, nobody knows. And this is also surgical procedure. So that's one big hurdle for invasive BCI to be deployed in the past. We call longevity of the electrode. So today with this device can do an imaging. When they insert such soft electrode, they will avoid the vessels. You see the blood vessel, you see the veins, very minute, they can avoid. So in between. So this electrode can live for a longer time. This become usable for real clinical applications. So those are very important engineering improvement, engineering advancement. However, scientifically, this has been demonstrated. So far, we haven't seen any new scientific or even clinical breakthrough from Elon Musk. We hope to see that. Okay, a few things he wish to do. It's also important for us to also keep track, because this could be the future. One thing at the very beginning, he want to have a human AI bioanalysis. So AI will enhance human ability, because AI becomes so advanced, human become, the human intelligence become lag behind. So how can, enhance human AI? That was his vision. However, this vision so far has no scientific evidence or ground. Nobody knows how to do that. So that's one. Now let's do one step back. Do not go to that very ambitious goal. Nobody knows how to do that. So he want to treat patients with disorders. That's very good. So for instance, for restore cognition for people elderly with Alzheimer's disease, dementia, and so on. So this is good direction. Again, that is also a research topic of many decades, especially heavily funded by NIH. Now, because of the change in US, the cut of the fundamental research in NIH, so this probably take even longer for us to see what is the possibility to do so. Okay, so that is still unknown. Now, the current, according to the news, he want to do is using this technology to restore vision. So vision for blind people who cannot see. This has some work on the animals in the past, but for human it's very difficult because a lot of unknown where to stimulate, what kind of stimulation, and how to do the evaluation, right? So you cannot use human to do all this trial and error. Although he announced this kind of vision, and also it's valid scientifically, people have done this for initial study on animals for many years. For human, we still wait and see. So how we can achieve that? So what the invasive technology can do today is only two things. This is one of them, motor. So only thing today we know from a brain using invasive approach, we can decode motor activity. So that's why all these three demonstration, you can see the electrode is put at the motor area. Okay, so that's one. The second important advancement for invasive approaches, I think this one probably more practical in terms of usage. So how can we decode speech directly from the neural activity? If the person has a brain injury, for instance, brainstem injury or stroke, right? They destroy the speech area. So you can see, just now I mentioned, so the motor area is on the top. Then the speech area mostly on the left side. This area normally for speech. So what do we mean by speech decoding? So this group of people from UCSF, University of California, of San Francisco, Professor Edward Chang, his team has done really pioneering work. So 2019, they published this work. Maybe I want to play the voice. Nobody has done this before. This is the first time ever we see just from a brain, from recording here, right? You can see from brain recording using deep learning approach. So the deep learning can convert neural activity into audio speech. So I show you an example. In this example, I need to change that. In this example, first you can see two type of voices. The first part is the pronunciation, natural pronunciation. The second is the restored speech from the neural activity. You just listen to see what is the quality of that.
Shipbuilding is a most fascinating process.
This is
Shipbuilding is a most fascinating process. The proof that you are seeking is not available in books. The proof that you are seeking is not available in books.
Okay, so you can see roughly, you know what they're talking about. Roughly, you sense. But this is really a breakthrough. Nobody has done this before. First time in the history, by using deep learning, we can decode, convert this neural activity. So after that, so instead of convert into speech, actually 2021, so actually the same group, they build the decoding, so the person can speak, just thinking. And this is the real patients. I'm sorry. So this is a real patients. And this one, the first study they did was recorded from patients with epilepsy. When in the hospital, doctor will monitor them for 24 hours or 48 hours. Then, because those people are healthy in terms of speech, right? They speak. So that's why you just now you heard the first sentence was very clear. The subject actually pronounced, and the second part is the decoded. Now they can decode directly. This is a patient who has 10 years brainstem injury. So now he never, after that, he never speak. So now by imaging speech, so imaging speech means imagine how you pronounce, how do you move your tongues and lips and mouth. So this is the movement. This movement will be recorded here. Okay, so basically when we say speech decoding, basically is a movement decoding, still record movement. So then convert this movement, use deep learning into voice or text. In this case, it's a text. This is one use case. And also 2 years ago, they used generative AI. Now it's very popular with avatar. So this avatar is in fact can represent this person when she want to express. So they will project this. Actually her thought. Still, she cannot speak. It's paralyzed. I mean the paralyzed plus the speech disability. When she imagine speech, the text. I mean the speech is converted into text, then pronounced by the synthesized by AI, the use of avatar and the speech synthesis. So this is another line of progress. So you can see this is two very typical invasive technology. They demonstrated certain functions, especially the speech decoding is very, very advanced, probably represent the today's state of art in brain-computer interface in terms of bandwidth, in terms of the speed and so on. However, later we'll show how can we translate all this new technology into real product to benefit more patients. Still some challenges. So just now we show Elon Musk use electrode, and this Edward Chan using we call ECOG on the surface of the cortex to decode speech. And this is another group just recently. They also use the array, electrode array, to decode speech. This is more, I think, research demonstration to show it works, because this is still an issue. Just now I explained. So long-term use is uncertain. So I think this is just for research, and the more useful will be either the Elon Musk one or the ECOG. Okay, so that's the engineering part. Now, how can we? Okay, one more thing. One more thing is this one. Yeah, briefly. This is also interesting technology. They use existing stent we use for the for cardio. And how they put into, I show this video to you. So this is like a stent. So what they do actually, they insert this into a brain blood vessel through the blood vessel. They're going. Okay, then they release. Okay, once you go into a certain place, this is the lower limb working area where we control our limbs. So then they release the stent. Okay, that stent will touch the wall of the vessel. Then after some days, they will actually grow together. So each of these are the electrodes. They can record brain activity surrounding this blood vessel. So this is how it works. Then they use this to build a BCI. You can see I use this to use wireless device to translate into a command. So they only have a very limited command. That means rest means nothing, or thinking of move, walk, because this is in the middle. In the middle, this is the area we control our lower limb, walking area. So if the person imagine walk slowly, that's one command. If imagine walk fast, that's another command. So there are 3 commands, more like 0, 1, 2. So very limited command to control a device. Personally, I think this is a technology could be one option, but there are also big issues. Once you put something like that in the brain, in a vessel of the brain, so the person have to take medication for life to prevent possible stroke from happening. So this is advised by the doctors. And also the bandwidth is very limited. Actually, non-invasive approach probably can compete. So personally, I don't think this has a future. But temporarily, this represents one of the paradigm for invasive brain-computer interface. Right. So I just give you a kind of an overview on invasive approach, just because this represents the state of art. So what are the real challenges really make this to be deployable and useful? Although they provide a new treatment or solution or assistive technology for people with a disability. However, if you look at the history, BCI started from, if we don't say the very early one, last century, 20th, 20 years, year 20s. We just look at 1970s. That was probably the starting point of human brain-computer interface, or human brain and computer altogether. So at the actual breakthrough of BCI, probably at the late 90s or early 20s. That time has a lot of demonstrations from animals, from human trials as well. There are many, many trials. However, when people want to bring this into real use case, there's a huge barrier, not only technical in technical terms, and also clinical and commercial requirement. For instance, safety, longevity, and also the cost. These are big barriers for the invasive technology to go into the mainstream. In order to achieve that, this is probably in the future more rigorous assessing and validating the benefit versus the risk should be done more comprehensively, and also to identify one or two so-called killer applications for people who are willing to use that. We'll see how, because the invasive approach is really expensive in terms of the investment. Small companies may not be able to survive because of the duration for the technology development. But the big companies, maybe they can afford to do all this, from smaller trial to big trial, and eventually technology maintenance. So this is kind of a background on the invasive approach. Now, I just skip this. So if you look at the human population, for any disease, either is Parkinson's or stroke, right, or spinal cord injury or ADHD, all these mental neurological disorders. Now, invasive approach can only be used for very severe patients. So among the in a world, so maybe less than 1%, or even the numbers you can count, subjects which are willing to use invasive approach. Okay, and also because of the cost, mostly all these trials are subsidized by the company itself or the research group programs and so on. But if you look at a even further percentage of the patients, so non-invasive approaches still are preferred, okay, because there's less risk and easy to deploy and cheaper. Of course, the compromise is you have an invasive approach, you have a more accurate, more high quality signal you can record, right? Then that system may be more responsive, higher accuracy. And the non-invasive approach will not reach that level. However, if you look at the use cases, just now I show you three examples, three types of typical non-invasive approach. So far, the only application area is for assistive technology. Assistive technology means people have to live with the device to do something, motor control or speech communication, and so on. So these devices normally do not have treatment effect or therapeutic effect. What I mean by therapeutic effect is if you want to recover or restore the motor function or enhance the attention for ADHD children and so on. So they don't need to live on the device. So this becomes a treatment or therapeutic device. Then for large population, this is more useful, more meaningful. So this is what I focus for the BCI. We apply BCI in several use cases, stroke rehabilitation. In fact, our Singapore team, including NTU, A-Star, and Tendolsing, was the first in the world to use non-invasive BCI for stroke rehabilitation. And now, stroke rehabilitation has become the main application of BCI. Later, I'll show you the first FDA de novo device in US. They got also the medical code, I think the CPS code or something. So insurance can cover, reimbursement can cover the cost. That's the first in the world, done by University of Washington. But the technology development starting from Singapore. We are the first to do so. And also we have done a lot to use BCI to help children with ADHD. This also, the result was very significant. So technology has been licensed to companies. And similarly for elderly with mild cognitive impairment, so we can use the BCI to help them to improve their memory, language, and so on. Now we also see potential use non-invasive BCI to help to improve speech ability for people. And also we can use non-invasive approach for people with anxiety, which is very difficult for invasive approach to do so. Okay, now in the following time, I will give you overview on the non-invasive approach, which represents probably the current state of art in this field. Many of the work is done in my group here. Okay, so I just explain to you why the BCI, how it can be used to recover auto function, right? Instead of control. So if you look at the chart, for control purpose, actually, you know, the person has a intention to control the arm because of contralateral. So on the left side of the motor area in the brain will activate, right? We'll send a signal. If this is a healthy subject, they will control the peripheral nerve, control the muscle, then move a device. This is called control. Now, if the person has a damage in the brain because of a stroke or some other damage, so the pathway from the brain control to the peripheral nerve control is destroyed. Somewhere you can see here. So the command, the control is from the cortex. These are the cortex in our brain. And there's a fiber connected all the way left to the right, right to the left. So then all the way to our arms, to limbs, to the lower limb, and so on. So if somewhere because of the stroke is destroyed, then the signal will not pass down. So that's why the person lost the control. Although the muscle or nerves are all still intact, but still he cannot have the control. So for invasive approach, they just use the recording from here and to control the device itself, to bypass the muscle. However, if we use mechanism I explain now, so we record the brain activity, sent to this is kind of a BCI. Don't worry about the details. So you just think the whole box is a brain computer interface decoder, right? Once we decode the intention, then we trigger to control the robotic arm. The arm will drag the arm. The robotic arm will drag the upper limb, the hand of the person. So this form a closed loop. So in neuroscience, there are important principles. If this activity repeated many times, then the neurons along the pathway, because it's a group of neurons, will activate it because they have a residue, or sometimes they borrow the neurons from the other side. We call compensation. So there's a new pathway. So once the person keep doing this, repeated, this is called Hebing effect, well-established neuroscience. So the neurons to perform the movement will connect well together with a group. So this need to be repeated. And also, this feedback is important. When they imagine something to move, then the robotics will move the arm. This also form of feedback. The feedback must be in accordance with what the person's intend to do. This is called congruent. So these principles are used in the BCI. So we build this system as person to perform task over, let's say, 4 weeks or 6 weeks. They get a significant improvement because of the repeated activation of the group of neurons. Okay, so you can imagine if there are some residue not completely destroyed, over time, those connections or new connections will be formed. So eventually, without the robotics, without the BCI, the person will recover their own limb movement. This is called rehabilitation, which is very different from the assistive technology used by the invasive brain-computer interface. So I try to explain the differences. Okay, so just one thing in BCI, which is similar to we need to build building blocks of the whole thing. So a lot of things need to be done within this box. This is decoding. So there are different requirements. I won't go to the detail. Those are the requirements for a system to perform. Must be accurate, reliable enough, generalizable enough, means that many people can use it. Okay, so we hope to build a device all the patients can use. But unfortunately, similar to drugs, right? Not everybody respond well to the same drug. So there's some technical difficulties in this area, similar to other areas. So that's where research come in. So over the last few years, because of the AI, so we can also use most advanced deep learning techniques to solve this. So the technical details I will try to skip, so it's not relevant. I just want to show you one thing. This is statistics over many patients. This is 46. Actually, we have over 300 patients. There's a distribution of effectiveness of how they use brain-computer interface. So you can just indicate this is like accuracy. Just interpret as ability. Higher is better. So it means there are certain percentage of subjects, patients, maybe 1/3, they can use BCI very well. So this become a device they can use for rehabilitation. There are also certain part in the middle, moderate well, still manageable, but there are some patients which cannot use. So this actually is ongoing thing. We try to push up this end. So as to make sure as many subjects as possible who can use BCI, right, who can benefit. This is called generalizable. So eventually, the technology must have a sufficient mass, which can use the technology. Then the market should be, can be enough for the company to survive or grow. So this is one thing that's part of the research we are doing. So what happened is because this was almost 15 years ago's initial finding. So over the years, actually you can see, I just show you, I'll skip the details, but I show you the results. It's very encouraging. You can see this one, small column. So this orange color represent the ability of patients using BCI for this non-invasive BCI with one particular use case. But it's very, very representative. So 15 years ago, the accuracy, the ability is like 60%. So that means they try to use BCI 40% of time they fail. Okay, so that's the kind of interpretation. And then we spent almost 15 years. So increase. Then because of the deep learning, there's the huge improvement. Now we can reach almost 87%, more than 87%, 87.5. So this represents a very high percentage of successful rate for people to use BCI. And also this translates roughly today in our clinical trial, we have some results. 80% of the people, patients can use BCI now. This is relatively high. But 10 years ago, the percentage is probably 60%, even less can use BCI well. Okay, so this is what is the status? Once the technology can be deployed, once patient coming, 87% of them can do, 80% of them can use this well. I think the market will be big enough for the technology to be deployed in a mainstream hospital. I skip this slide. Now, just give you a idea. Compare with other technologies. So what is the status of BCI, right? This is one study we did a few years ago, but the results still hold until today. So we compare 3 groups for people, with stroke to perform upper limb, hand, elbow, shoulder mostly, and wrist recovery. There are 3 groups. Therapist group is the traditional therapy, now still like a prevailing approach in the hospitals, in the rehab center, right? And the robotics is quite popular. Most of the rehab center, they have robotics, very easy to deploy. And BCI, okay, these 3. Of course, the BCI, I have to say we have a feedback, use robotics as feedback, but the main contributions from BCI. Now, from if we have some new drugs, we need to show effect, right? Let's say do a trial, a big trial, a few hundred people, then to see whether this drug will take effect. For technology, typically we don't have such scale, typically just tens of them. Here is just a feasibility study, less than 10. Then what is the indication, right? So if you have a new drug, try to reduce the blood pressure. So that's the indication. After you take the medication, the blood pressure will drop from 140 to 120. So that's the kind of change, right? Similarly, for motor function, they are gold standard in the hospital, in the rehab center. So the relative improvement before and after the rehabilitation treatment, if the relative change in this measurement more than 5 points. So give you example, what does a point mean? So if the risk can move freely, we got 3 points. If the risk cannot move at all, this part, we get a 0 point. So that's the idea. So altogether, the upper limb have a kind of 66 point. So if the upper limb can improve 5 points, right? That means the treatment is significant. Medically, reach the minimum medical significance, which is very important. Now, if you look at the 3 groups, so the BCI group, almost everyone, so improved more than 5. Okay, some even 13 points, significant improvement. So the arm initially cannot lift up, now they can lift up very well. Then for robotics also, some are improved even more, 15 points, but the spread. However, there are also patients which below 5 points. And for therapist group, even worse, only a few get a significant improvement, the rest either no improvement or even get a bit worse. So this is the kind of indication, and this is very representative today for rehabilitation. So I will show you, okay, before I show you the current so-called product development, I just want to show you their product also related to this. The most challenging part for rehab for people eventually want to recover their motor function, one is a hand. Hand is called distal function, which is further away, most far away from the brain control. Signal is weak, so the hand is function, but hand function is so important for daily life. So this is how we did work, and the new technology just now we show is 80% of the 83% accuracy the patients can achieve. So this is the current. Then we did a trial. Just give you a quick indication, just few examples. So these patients cannot even open the hand properly, but after 18 sessions, 6 weeks, so you can see the hand can be moved very well. So this is one good example. But there's also another example. This person has a very high, we call spasticity, tension. He cannot or she cannot open. Now she can open a little bit, still challenging, but this is at the 13 weeks. After 18 weeks, she get better improvement. And this is another example. The person has a weak hand, means cannot move up and down. So after 15 weeks, 15 sessions, sorry, then he can improve a little bit. So these are the frontier for rehabilitation of the hand. Non-invasive play an important role, but invasive so far has not shown any efficacy yet. Maybe in the future, but not today. So to summarize on that, so far robotics has been tested in over 4,000 patients today, but none of the trial has reached therapeutic effect. So the conclusion is robotics will remain as an assistive device, assist the patients to do recovery, but not as a therapy. It's not effective enough. And the first FDA-approved device today, called de novo device, it means new device can treat. It's called IPSI hand from Neuralink. The founder is from University of Washington. So they also get a CPS code, the insurance can reimburse. So this is the device, and this is very similar to what we have done over the years. So this gives us very good predicate. So if you have now we have actually better technology, more efficacy results, better accuracy, more intuitive. So hopefully more such device can get medical grade and pass the regulation, can be deployed. So the future, in my view, will be the BCI plus this robotics. So what does it mean? So this device only have a 3 component: the EEG device, record brain, the robotic glove, a glove actuator basically, and the template. So this can be used at home. Okay, so this is for rehab. I move a bit quickly, but as I want to have more time to have a discussion with the team. Another part is also very advanced. Today we have done. So just now you remember the peak from Neuralink. So that decode from the brain using invasive approach. Here we can decode from a human using non-invasive approach, and the accuracy is similar, probably even better than the demo they show. So you can see the 2 lines here. Also, you can see the solid line. The black line is the actual recording, the joint angle. So there are 3 parts. So in the middle, you can see the knee angle, up and down, up and down. And the light, there's another one, which is decoded from the brain. So these 2 are very close to each other. And this provide a new avenue for very new application. I will show you. So this is technical development, use AI. So the correlation is very, very high. If you look at the correlation coefficient, 0.93. Anyway, so there are 2 new scenarios. One is now we are doing in 10,000 to record from patients. This is the patients with a stroke. This is our staff. So then we can decode from the brain the gate and compare with the joint angle to provide more precise assessment. And the more important, the next step is we try to incorporate this imaging movement with either exoskeleton or imaging training. So now we are partner with Anderson and NNI. So they have a study. Neurosurgeons put the electrode onto the spinal cord. Those are the examples recently they published last year. So these are the patients, they have a spinal cord injury for many years, 7, 10 years. In the past, there's almost no other treatment to help them, more like no hope to recover. But now, since last few years, the 2 devices from Medtronic and also from Onward in Switzerland, they have this device. They can put this device, electrical stimulation, onto the spinal cord. After that, this person can stand up, but they take longer time to learn how to walk. So now we have this new technology. We can combine this decoding technology with the traditional therapy. So they can imagine they are walking, and also we can use the imagine walk to drive lower limb exoskeleton. So this is represent the most advanced, most frontiers of BCI for rehabilitation today. Quickly, a few other applications I want to explain why it can be so. So we have done quite a lot of work with BCI for ADHD. So you can see, I show the demo later. Then we did a trial in Singapore. This is also the largest trial in the world on ADHD children using BCI, 170. And more importantly, part of the children also participate in the brain scan. The results showing that after the training, after the improvement, the children's brain connectivity are back to normal, similar to the healthy children after 8 weeks training. So what does it mean, training to us? I'll show you this example. So this is the interface we built. Now actually it's from the actual final product from a company called Neuro in Singapore. They are trying to market this to more home or clinics. So idea this way. The whole technology was developed by my team. For children with ADHD, they are lacking of a few things. For instance, you can see the sustained attention. So the attention span is very short. And also when there are distractions or interference, they don't know which one to attend. So like they are easily distracted, and they don't know how to control their impulsivity, because anything can happen, they quickly respond without thinking and so on. So also sometimes the multitasking, they have hard time to do the divided attention. So with this, actually, what we have is a BCI technology can capture the attention level. We can convert our attention level into a score, 0 to 100. 100 is high, 0 is low, 0 is very low. So that's why we can use this attention, use brain to drive the movement of the avatar. Here is a bird. It's very fun, engaging, simple game for the children. And with this, actually, the children will train their attention. Then we design the program to ask them to pick up fruit according to the listed or according to the sequence, so they can control their impulsivity and try to improve the divide and the selective attention. This is a whole program. Then actually, just now I show you there's a significant improvement before and after. This is control, which is not too much. And this is one big area for BCI. And also, so those are the details I will skip for the children. And this is how we use deep learning to decode attention, which is pretty accurate. The accuracy is more than 80% as well. And there are different technologies to do so. Now, the next one is, can we decode speech as well? Speech is another ability, very natural for people to do so. So invasive, just now I show you, very successful, but of course to deploy, they take a longer time. So can we use non-invasive approach also decode cover speech? I mean, with imaging speech, they cannot speak, they just imagine, right? So in fact, actually we did a study, we skipped the scientific one, and this is the deep learning. We can really find the differences among different words within the brain using EEG, so which is very safe. And now we use this to build two applications. One to help people who have a speech difficulty after stroke. This is for aphasia or aphasia. This is one application. And also we have another application to use speech decoding to do a diagnosis and prognosis and a communication for people with DOC, disorder of consciousness. Basically, some of them are in coma stage. So there's no other communication means for them very effectively. So this is another new frontier. We are working with hospitals in Singapore. Finally, another example is use brain interface for mental health, particularly for anxiety. We actually did a very successful trial. I will just show you what's going on. For people with anxiety, basically, we see the elements in the brain. It's a part of an emotion. So emotion has two elements, arousal, balance. Basically, balance represents how positive or negative you view things. And arousal means how calm or excited the person will be. So in this case, actually, we can use BCI to detect arousal level, similar to the attention. So I will skip some of the details. I come to here. So what we do actually is this way. We design a training program, okay, to help people to learn how to regulate their arousal, which is related to the anxiety. So the process is this way. So we create two, you see on left and right, two tasks. So the first task actually asks them to press button when the stone come to them, to them, and also should not cross this spot. So this causes an increase of arousal, okay, increase. So you can see the score this is real time. So this bar increase, so this is repeated. So the score increase means the stress increase. So stress increase. And after a certain time or after a certain level of stress, so we ask them to play another game, try to regulate down. So you can see also the score. The score they'll try to play down. So the bird, actually the flapping speed is corresponding to their arousal level. So flip slower means they are more calm, slow down. So give them direct feedback. So then through multiple sessions, go up and down, up and down, up and down. So then they learn how to regulate. So this is the process for them. So what's the effect? Okay, maybe the last slide I'll show you. We achieve quite surprising results. This is the clinical trials with young people, 21 to 35 years old in Singapore. So this actually indicates the so-called effect size, how effective. Okay, so if this is 1 means 1 person can show it's very effective. 0.7, we can use less than 100 people. Just an idea. So effect size means we can calculate how many people is necessary to be used to demonstrate this technology is effective. More like a drugs, you need 1,000 of patients to try, right? And with a placebo effect, some two true drugs and a control. Here also, so we see how the person receive this kind of training when they regulate their arousal, how this will help them anxiety. So by measuring clinical outcomes, we see significant improvement in reduction of anxiety and significant improvement in sleep. This is something open up a very new avenue for us to look at. Maybe for sleep problem, this is also a possible option for them to improve sleep quality. So I just give you this a very quick overview on what has been happening in the world and in Singapore about the speech brain-computer interface. How do we use this to treat various possible disease? And there are some initial success. And we hope more in the next few years, because of AI, for technology advancement, clinical support, more things will be coming to the clinics. With this, thank you very much. These are my teams as well. Yeah, Professor, I pass back to you for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. Guan. I will start the moderating, and for the audience, please feel free to drop your questions into the Q&A box. I will pick it up there. And while I have some questions from my perspective,
Sure.
but I will start from one of the questions from the audience first, because I think we'd like to have them to have the priority. I believe this question is pretty technical from my point of view. So this question is from Mr. Liu Zhenyang. He's asking, could you please share your experience about the scalability problem of deep learning when decoding to avoid retraining? Which method show potential?
Excellent point. In fact, today, because brain signal is harder to acquire compared to text, right? Text and image, you can get it from internet, billions of them. So for brain signal, typically when you build a system, you have to collect your own data. Usually you get 50 subjects. That's already very big. So we use a smaller model. Usually for one particular application, we build one model. Okay, so that's the current status for BCA. But of course, this has certain limitation for scalability or generalizability, especially you have a new task. How you have to rebuild, right? You have to collect data, rebuild. So there's a very big effort in BCI society to build a foundation model, to bring in all kind of data from different type of tasks to try to translate, build a one foundation model. So you have a new task, you don't need to build, collect data for that task alone. You can use the foundation model with some fine tuning. So this is still lag behind the text large language model images and so on. But this is one of the things we are paying very close attention. Very good question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. In the early part of your presentation, you mentioned about the invasive BCI.
Yeah.
Many examples or case studies appears to be done in US mainly. So I'm just wondering, what's the development in this space in this part of the world? And if you can share a flavor why Singapore or maybe NTU have a less so-called focus in this area.
Yeah, so in fact research happening mostly in US, now in China. Europe, there are also some group in Europe. In Singapore, in fact, we have one project with monkey. Before many years ago, I think more than 10 years ago, we did one large program, try to develop a few technologies, electrode. That time, electrode still not solved, like Elon Musk. Circuit, how do you record high density? Normally, we need to record hundreds of the electrode recording simultaneously. How do you send this data outside? And also, that was when I was in A-Star time. So we have a monkey trial. And when I left A-Star in 2016. I joined NTU. So the team continue try to push to human trial. The first in human, they did implant in one of the patients, but was not no follow-up after that because the investment and so on is quite heavy. So in Singapore, probably we don't have such facilities to continue such big effort. So far, I don't know anybody in Singapore doing a human trial use invasive approach, but still, maybe someone working on the monkey and the mouse, still on the fundamental side.
I'm curious, what's the magnitude of investment you are referring to?
Okay, so the first project, for example, we did you need a 10 million to build a team because you really need a big team. You need electronics, you need signal processing, robotics, neuroscience, I mean, even surgeons, right? So these are the big team. So once you spread 10 million into so many teams, each team only small amount over 5 years. So you want to do another phase, another 10 million. So this is actually just for feasibility for research alone. If you talk about investment for product, that is maybe 10 times more than that.
Sure, thanks for the insight. Yeah, that's expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Regards to the non-invasive BCI, especially, you know, the stories you share or the case study you share locally about the upper limb motor recovery, hand rehab, etc. You know, I understand there are quite a number of clinical trial results shows promising, like some you did in Dan-Doxing hospitals on your slides. I wonder how far we, or when do you expect to be a so-called a standard medical treatment or, into the clinical protocol? How far away we are? And how much do you expect they will cost to the consumers if it's go live?
Okay.
And what's the cost structure behind?
Okay. Yeah. First question is a tough question. How far away we can use this as a standard or routine clinical system? According to what we have seen today, right? Okay. A few things. Maybe just put into the big context. First of all, the emphasis for this technology-wise rehabilitation device should be focused at home-based. So the one I just mentioned, the US FDA approved, actually is approved for home use. This is the nature of the rehabilitation because rehab, you need intensive, repeated. So intensity is important. Come to the clinic is very, very light. Even 3 times per week, it's also a burden for the family and patients. So it must be home-based. And the payments structure in US, very well structured because once you get a CPS code, you get a reimbursement from the insurance company, right? So but this structure is different in Singapore. Probably that structure is similar in Europe. But what we also can do the same thing if you have a product go to sell in US. China is totally different. This company I just mentioned, the Neuralink, they spent 1 year trying to sell in China. They failed totally because the payment structure is different. They don't have this insurance structure for medical device. It's a kind of national thing. You go there, but the amount is very little. And another thing is in Singapore, I can give you an idea. Not many so-called formal approved regulated device in rehab, which has be deployed in a clinic or at home. The one I mentioned is probably the only one. But I think maybe next few years, this will be kind of increased significantly because once you have a predicate, many people can follow that. In fact, actually, we are working with a company which used to produce robotics rehabilitation. They also meet a bottleneck. How can they scale up, right? So now brain BCI, so brain control robotics will be the future. So I hope that will be something you can see more and more such device has been deployed and approved to be used for the patients.
Yeah, thanks for the insight. I'm coming back to some questions from the audience, and here's one from my colleague, Professor Wen Jun. She's asking, from your point of view, what's the current stage of clinical application of this new technology? Do you find the outlook promising? I think you answered to certain extent just now. And what's the barrier or challenges of the clinical application? And whether the insurance sector, can help to reduce the barrier, to enhance the application. I think one examples, you share about the ADHD solutions your team developed. In the same spirit of this question, what's the adoption rate to the market, or whether you have considered, insurance companies to be part of the game. Just for your reference, there are some companies, insurers actually, they do provide insurance benefit if the patient is diagnosed with ADHD, if they fall into the, the claims definition.
Yeah. Yeah, so okay, I try my best. I'm not the expert in that. From what we have, some experience we had with companies on this. In fact, the first licensee for this technology was a US company, ADHD, spin-off from Duke. They actually did a extensive survey. They spent $300,000 to ask a company to go to market. They surveyed two group of people, psychiatrists, and also the parents of ADHD children. So the consensus is if the devices are within $300, $300, yeah, they are willing to purchase. I mean, for the parents, and for the clinicians, I mean, the psychiatrists, they were willing to prescribe for because it's not so expensive. And the effect actually, so far, you just now we see, in fact, the BCI-based ADHD improvement actually reached certain treatment effect. That drop, I mean, lower is better. That drop doesn't only sustain after the treatment. It's 8 weeks training. Actually, we measure after 24 weeks, half a year. That effect still sustained. So it's kind of treatment effect because we see the brain inside change, right? However, our licensing in US, they didn't do enough to get the FDA because they need to do a big trial. So they try to avoid the path to go to the clinical, I mean, the regulation, which is costly and a longer time. So they prefer to use this as a training device. This is probably the same issue with another company I don't want to mention here. They also tried the strategy. I provide a consumer grade product for people to buy, use at home. So they didn't really get the funding to do a proper clinical trial, randomized control trial. So what we have done cannot be used for the company because they have changed the headband, whatever you change, you have to redo it because of final product, right? So I hope we try to see whether anybody else want to. This technology really shows some promise, but you need to do a clinical trial, proper trial with sufficient numbers, so that to submit that for regulation. I think it's possible. Once you reach that level, deployment in a clinical setting, at least prescribed by the doctor, is possible. Otherwise, it's consumer product. Doctor can only say, "Oh, there's something up to you." Yeah, they cannot do anything.
Yeah, thanks. And also, I think you also mentioned about the potential benefit, to enhance or to address the problem or the issues of cognitive impairment. I think one of the so-called issue as part of the aging society is dementia. Like for instance, based on IMH survey, they expect 50% of Singaporeans whose age 85 would have a dementia. I wonder how this BCI can help this problem.
Yeah, so this is a part of our wish to help people in this way. Once people come to the level of dementia or Alzheimer's, is always today. There's no means to reverse that for now. So the overall vision is, can we prevent? Can we slow down? Right. So that's where the brain training come in. So what we do actually, this was one of the big trial, 200 subjects in Singapore, NUS, Duke NUS, IMAGE altogether. So the idea is for elderly, I think it's 60 to 80 years old. Okay, they are not diagnosed as a dementia or Alzheimer's yet, but they have a self-reported cognitive decline, memory issue, and so on, attention issue. So then we build a training system. So traditionally, there are different type of computerized brain training. One issue in the past was transference. So people can play the game. At beginning, not so good, but become better and better, very, very skillful in the game. But that training doesn't transfer to the daily life. That is the traditional brain training issue. But now, what we do actually, we use the brain interface to try to use attention to enhance the memory training. So our measurement is not the performance of the game. Our measurement is this called R bands, repeated this here. Battery for assessment of neurological status, means attention, memory, language, and so on. So pre and post. So for this group of patients, actually, we see there's a significant improvement in delayed memory, which is one of the important deficit for people with dementia, because they forget, they open the turn on the tab and so on. They forgot to turn off. So this is a delayed memory. They have a long-term memory, but they don't have good delayed memory. So by doing so, actually, you can see there's a significant improvement, and also even language, because memory improves, and the language also improves, because this is correlated. So this is our hope. But how this effect eventually will be translated into so-called reduced in progress of dementia, we don't know. This did because typically it takes several years for people with cognitive decline to dementia. So we wish to do so, but because of funding, whatever, it's very hard to perform such a longitudinal study.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Hopefully, it could be a solution, because all the countries are, many countries are getting into the aging society, super age society.
Exactly.
So, here's one more question from the audience. This is talking about the research funding perspective. What is the difference of the funding source between US and Singapore? Does it mainly coming from the government grants or coming from the private capital in Singapore?
Yeah, I think majority from the public. We have several sources of funding. I think in Singapore, we are lucky enough, all the funding still for us to tap. From MOE, from university, we can get the MOE grant, especially the Tier 2 grant, which support fundamental research. We get the funding from A-STAR. There's some industry-related funding. Once we have an industry partner, we can do that. Now we are applying for one. And also the NRF, National Research Foundation, used inspired fundamental research. All this actually, even NMRC, we work with doctors. So doctor as a PI, they can apply for funding from NMRC, the National Medical Research Council. So all these funding are very good support for all this research. So it's a really interdisciplinary technology, AI, and also medical. Industry-wise, we work with industry. Normally, the funding coming when we translate into the product. So the industry also putting funding. We have one company, we license our technology for anxiety, for instance. They, putting funding for us to translate to them, become a product.
Yeah, thanks for the insight. Here's one more question coming from Andrew, who works for Scory, which is one of the leading reinsurers globally. So the question is, have you had to tackle the ethical consideration, such as data privacy, security, in respect to brain signals being recorded and transmitted? And what requirement would you investigate as required as development progress? Yeah.
This is always a very important thing before we start anything on that. So firstly, the recording usually is at the local. Most of the trial is in a clinic, in hospital. All data will be within the hospital even. And also then when we come to NTU, we do the modeling. we get we do anonymize. So actually EEG itself doesn't easily to be useful for identity. Can reverse engineering to get identity. There's no such thing for EEG, but still we are very careful. So any data we not anonymize all the labels, and we build a model with a dedicated server. And eventually all the data only between, we even transfer data, we don't through the internet. There's not safe transfer. So there are other ways to transfer data to either in hospital or in our lab. So there's a secure server to just dedicate store the data. Long-term wise, when we build application, some application may be through internet. So now federal learning has been used in finance quite intensively. So federal learning means you transfer the model, not the data. You refine, you aggregate, you improve the model. You use the model parameter from different sites, which does not contain any information of the patients. So those are the means we could, but today we haven't come to that stage yet. So we do the feasibility study of the data store in a very secure local server. But in the future, this is something need to be considered to protect the patient's privacy for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Fully agree as well.
Yeah.
Perhaps here's my last question. From your perspective, do you see any area insurance industry or financial industry are able to tackle some of the pain points you or your colleagues have?
It didn't come to my mind, but this the only thing I thought in the past was to get a regulation, and the insurance can help to cover the costs. But other than that, if you look at the insurance company to fund certain development, I think it's possible. If I think I have one. There's one company, they came to license. Actually, I refer to them to A-Star. They get the IP from them. This actually is this company was invested by an insurance company in Singapore. They try to use mobile phone or AI technology to monitor anxiety or disruption of the health of the person, so that the insurance company can know what's going on. So that is one thing. So I think, but for brain computer interface, so far I don't know any specific examples when the insurance company will come to very specific funding to support that. I hope in the future, if there are some ideas on both sides, so we can explore. This could be beneficial for technology to translate into the clinical setting.
Yeah, definitely. I think just on top of mind is probably the product liabilities. Maybe it covers medical complication. It covers maybe your hardware malfunctioning.
Yeah.
This probably can help the adoptions to be smoother potentially. Yeah, if there's new ideas, feel free to reach out.
Good. Thank you very much.
So with that, let me pass it to my colleague, Professor Shinichi, for closing.
Thank you, Joey, and thank you, Professor Guan, for the wonderful talk. And then I really want to have that, push that this kind of research as that. So the family member who has that dementia, so that that this technological advance could help my family as well. But anyway,
we all benefit.
Yeah, I believe at least that all of us, gain a valuable insight from today's talk about the BCI, and we are looking forward to seeing you at the next our talk, probably scheduled in July, where we will continue to explore that sort of scientific and technological advancement are shaping the insurance industry and then driving growth. And if you have any specific, interesting topics, recommendations, just feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to hear from
certainly
anybody.
If you need any speaker on AI or whatever technology, let me know. I can also recommend some colleagues for you to consider.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Well,
Yeah.
Then this is the end of today's talk. And again, thank you so much for joining us today, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much, and thank everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.